Hey everybody, this is Ryan, and we're going to go over Superstition by Stevie Wonder. It sounds like this. This riff is incredible. There's a lot of funk guitar playing, a lot of being able to play single note melody lines with a lot of power and precision, and being able to learn some new shell voicings for being able to play dominant chords. So you can easily play your B flat 7 or A flat 7 or any of those other chords and it not be a super difficult bar chord. So we're going to do two different videos. We're going to start with the riff, and then we're going to have a separate video for the chords, and then we're going to have a practice video for the riff and a practice video for the chords. Now, let's jump in. So to start, we have this open E string, and the way that I play that is I'm looking for just the E, but I want my right hand to be just constantly going down and up the entire time. I call it motoring. So it's just constant down, up, down, up. So you can see that the way that I'm getting this low E to ring out and none of the other strings to ring out is my fingers are laying across the strings, and I'm lifting up on the fingers that are touching the low E when I want the low E to ring out. So in this context, I will often just lift up the fingers like this, and my first finger is laying across all the other strings to get this. Next note is the 7th fret on the A string, which is also an E note. And the way that I play this note is my ring finger is on the 7th fret of the A, and then my middle finger is very lightly touching the low E, so that way it's muted, and my fingers are just kind of laying across the strings. So that way I'm just getting that 7th fret to ring out. And it's going to be the same thing for the 5th fret too. So I'm using my pointer finger for the 5th fret. And again, my middle finger is just laying across those strings. So that way the low E is muted, and my first finger is laying on the, it's touching the strings, but it's not barring. So that way I can get those strings muted. Similarly, if you have a smaller guitar neck and long enough thumbs, your thumb can reach around and also play these strings to mute them. That's another option too. So once we have this open E, then 7th fret A, then 5th fret A, we're going to go back to the 7th fret A, and then we're going to do our string switch. So now we're going to move our first finger up to the 5th fret on the D string, and you can see that the way that I tend to play this is my thumb wraps around to mute the low E, and my first finger is slightly touching the A string with the tip of the finger. So that way I get that A string to not ring out. If your thumb wasn't big enough to mute, you could do it this way. So what I did was I had my first finger there, but I also had my middle finger muting these two strings, and I was being a little bit more articulate with my right hand. I wasn't going across all the strings. I was just going across maybe like the bottom 4 or 5. So that way I wasn't hitting that low E string by accident. So far we have this. And then we're going to do a down strum and then an up strum and hit that 5th fret A string. So a down strum and then up strum, 5th fret A string. One more time, down strum and up strum, hitting the 5th fret A. And then there's a rest afterwards, and you can do the rest if you want. When I'm in music therapy contexts, I like percussive elements because they're very fun and upbeat and peppy. So I will use those rests as opportunities to play more dead strings, where I'm just laying my fingers across the strings and my right hand is just strumming through all of them to make that percussive sound. So playing the riff very slowly with maybe just the rest, it might be do, do, here we go. Down, up, and again. Up, and. So that's the first bar. Now the second bar, you're basically just climbing up these strings with your fingers. So we're going to have first finger 5th fret, low E, then ring finger 7th fret, low E, then first finger 5th fret A, then ring finger 7th fret A, and then we're going to have our first finger 5th fret D, still muting all of those strings. And then we have this little same thing where we have a down and then up on the 5th fret of the A, and then we have a hammer on. So it sounds like this. That's what we have so far. And then we have the hammer on. So to do a hammer on, you are going to play the 5th fret of the A, and then your ring finger is going to be like a hammer, and you're going to slap that hammer onto that fret. Commonly what I'll see people do is this, where they're not putting enough force. You really need to imagine this ring finger is like a hammer, and you're hammering in that nail. So that way you can get the same volume as when you strummed this note. So now doing this bar very slowly, we're going to do it like this. Do, do, here we go. Down, up. So you can see that hammer-on's on the down strum. Let's try that again. Here we go. Down, up, down. And that's the riff. So now let's put them both together and let's try them very slowly. Do, do, here we go. From the beginning. Down, up, 1, E, and down, up, 2. Just like that. And so that is the riff for Superstition, and I will see y'all in the practice video.